I am at my fertility office. I am waiting to be called back for the ultrasound, the saline ultrasound, for them to double check to see if the uterus still looks good, that there's no fibroids or things like that. They can call back now, so bye. Hello, everyone. I promise you that my car drives to go pick up my son will not be the only time that I do updates, but I said if I'm going to commit to this and be consistent with my videos, then we are going to do them whenever we can fit in the time. So thank goodness for my wonderful dad. Again, he is at home keeping Aria while I'm going to pick up my son. But I did want to give you guys an update in regards to our saline ultrasound appointment that we had. So today is actually February 21st. And we had our saline ultrasound actually on February 14th, on Valentine's Day. So last week. In going into it, you know, I knew what to expect, being that they require that you get one before every transfer if it hasn't been within that same year. So the first one I had was back in 2014 when we first started our IVF journey. The second one was 2017 when we did both of our frozen embryo transfers. The last one, which resulted in Aria, and then now this one. So I kind of went into it feeling okay. Not much anxiety or anything like that. Appointment is not long at all. They have you take 800 milligrams of ibuprofen before actually coming, just because they want to be sure that any of the cramping and things like that that comes along with the procedure is not too bothersome for you. So they kind of try to set you up for that. So I did do that. They also make you take a pregnancy test before coming in to ensure that you are not pregnant. And the procedure is pretty straightforward. They actually come in, you know, kind of do a timeout, you know, with your name, birth date, and what you're having done today. They have you lay back like you're in the doctor getting a pap smear. And they put in a speculum like how they would, you know, with the pap smear, and then they cleaned off the cervix with the soapy water, and then from there they put the numbing agent, and then shortly after they put in the catheter, and they inflated the balloon just so that they can kind of see like where they were, and then they and to hold that in place, obviously took out the speculum and went back in with the saline and then the actual ultrasound probe, and went around and took pictures as they inserted the water, just to kind of see the inside of the uterus. And the purpose of this procedure, as many of you may already know, is to make sure that there's no fibroids, cysts, no scar tissue, things like that. Because if there is some, then they might opt to postpone the whole procedure. So again, since I had this done previously, I didn't go in thinking like, oh, you know, I have something to be concerned about, because in the past I did it and it was perfectly fine. However, this time it was not perfectly fine. At first, when she was doing it, I did kind of feel like the ultrasound technology that they were using was a bit more updated compared to what we had before. They use like a 3D, so you know how sometimes you see the 3D pictures of babies. That's how it was with my uterus, and I don't recall that being the case previously. I just remember the regular black and white ones. But in any case, the doctor that we had before that I said had left, he had previously done the saline ultrasounds that we did in the past, and he was always like, yeah, like your uterus looks beautiful, like I don't see why you know, the embryos wouldn't, you know, stick to this, like there's no concern, so let's move forward. So I was expecting to get the same response this time. However, this time as she, you know, put in the fluid, I was kind of looking at the screen myself, and I'm like, is there something going on in that upper, you know, right corner, or what exactly is going on? But I really couldn't put my finger on it. You know, obviously I don't look at ultrasounds all day, every day, so I wasn't really sure exactly what I was looking at, but I had a pretty good idea. So afterwards, she turned back on the lights and she's like, yeah, so typically we tell you if you can go forward today with the procedure, just based on the pictures and stuff that we take. And she's like, it took me a little bit longer with yours because I found a little bit of scar tissue in that upper right quadrant. And I guess I'm just trying to make sure that that's not going to be something that affects us. She was like, having the newer technology is kind of like a blessing and a curse, because it might actually be so minor to, the natural eye that I probably wouldn't even try to shave it down or take any of this off. So that puts me in a situation of, do we actually go in and do surgery and see if there's anything and hope that maybe there's something to shave down, or do we just kind of let it slide, and so after a bit of back and forth, she's just like, what, I think that it's so minor that we're just gonna let it go. But I was just kind of taken back at first, because I was like, my last appointment, or ultrasound, no one ever mentioned any scar tissue. She actually let it go because of the fact that she knew my history of the right corneal ectopic pregnancy. So for those of you that are new to our channel, we had the ectopic pregnancy back in 2012, and they had to actually resection the right corner of my uterus because the baby had attached right where the fallopian tubes attached to the uterus. So when the ectopic pregnancy ruptured, a part of my uterus was damaged that way too. So when they went in to clean everything up, they had to kind of stitch back together and sew a part of my uterus back together. So again, the doctor that I worked with in the past kind of made it seem like it wasn't an issue, that everything looked fine, but she's like, yeah, there's actually scar tissue here, and obviously the concern for that is that if there's scar tissue, then the babies or the embryos won't implant in that area if that's where they do choose to try to implant. So our goal is to make sure that there's no scar tissue so that they can implant wherever they want. However, if it's very minor, I don't see why we should put you through having surgery and stuff for something that I'm not even going to really be able to see with the natural eye. So long story short, she allowed us to go forward with the transfer. But just after that appointment, I called my husband. I said, the devil is real. Prior to that appointment, I had been, that whole month, I had been praying and fasting about, trying to go forward with IVF. And it just seems like whenever you try to dedicate yourself and your life to God, and to really get back on track and do what that He would have you to do, the devil always finds a way, to get busy, because after that appointment, then I kind of had this thought of, so what if, the embryo does not take because of the fact that, there's scar tissue? Like, we only have the one embryo. So should we, go ahead and just let her do the surgery to just heighten every chance we have? And, I had to bring it back. And thankfully I have a God-fearing husband who I love with every fiber within me. But he was basically like, we're going through this on a faith journey, and that's nothing but the devil trying to throw tricks and schemes and stuff like that in our path, because at the end of the day, we said going forward with one embryo left, we're putting all our faith and hope in God that He's going to let this one embryo stick so that we don't have to go through the whole IVF process all over again. So that was that appointment. Definitely a bit unexpected, because we we're expecting things to go how they typically do, and it also made me kind of think twice about my doctor. I know in the previous video I had kind of shared with you guys that I kind of felt like it was bittersweet to be going on this journey with a newer doctor, but now finding this out, I was like, okay, should I be kind of concerned that my last doctor kind of overlooked this, or is it just simply that this doctor is just doing her due diligence and they just have a better technology and that's why she was able to find it? Again, at this point it doesn't really matter, you know what I mean, because God is in control. So that, of course, was the devil trying to get my mind all wrapped up in things that don't make sense. So we did that. As far as the starting the birth control for the transfer, we did postpone that just because Aria is still actively breastfeeding. So her birthday is March 10th, so we're hoping that that will be the last day that she does her breastfeeding, or otherwise, just that last month, because then hopefully in April we'll go ahead and start the birth control with cycle day 1. So that is where we are, just so you guys know. Definitely we are back on social media, as far as IG and Facebook and things like that, so you guys can definitely look to see us there. I went on today actually and saw so many different posts and started to like everyone's post and things like that again. So don't think that we're being standoffish or funny acting. We just literally took a break from social media, but we're back. And I am so glad to see all the beautiful babies and pregnancies and, people that are still in the wait but that have not given up faith. Definitely helps to encourage me as well. And again, as always, we're hoping that our story encourages you too. So until next time, peeps, take care. Bye.